of a podcast.
Good day to you. Welcome to your main newscast for today, Thursday, June 16th, 2022. With your news at this time, my name is Joshua Van Sleckman. Let's get to the news in details. According to Guyana's laws governing the oil sector, companies are required to give up varying portion of their respective oil blocks to the state over a 10-year period. The first period of relinquishment occurs after 4 years, while the second and third timelines occur after a period of 3 years each. All petroleum agreements for onshore and offshore concessions conform to the foregoing stipulation except for one, the 2016 Stabroek Production Sharing Agreement. This agreement only requires ExxonMobil's subsidiary and operator, Esso, to return a portion of the oil-rich deepwater acreage after 7 years. Most importantly, if the company is convincing enough, there is a provision that empowers the subject minister to let Exxon hold on to the entire block for much longer. It should be noted that no other agreement the nation has with other oil explorers has such a special provision. Such discretion is not even catered for in Guyana's oil laws. As Ghana prepares for its first bid round by the end of the third quarter, the government has said it will pursue aggressive relinquishment of offshore acreage. President Ali was in swell mode on Wednesday during an outreach in Bartica Region 7 until a female farmer's question about Guyana's oil blocks angered him. The president's outreach was held at the Bartica Community Center ground and began at around 11 hours. After delivering a dramatic speech about his government's vision for the country, Ali decided to open the floor for Barticians who attended to voice their concerns and ask him questions. And when a question about oil blocks by the female farmer was asked, Ali became angry. The woman told Ali to speak about Guyana's oil block, and it was quite evident that he got annoyed. Ali got so angry that he shouted at the audience and the woman while making his response. His remarks were so harsh that the crowd began to laugh while he was lashing out at the farmer who asked for a simple explanation about her wealth. The loud tone of his voice and words he spoke apparently intimidated the woman because she disappeared from the outreach soon after. Vice President Barra Jagdi is of the view that the large-scale mining contracts in Guyana should be made available to the public should a formal request be made to the Freedom of Information Office. Jagdi made the assertions yesterday during a press conference held at the Office of the President, when he was confirmed when the recommendations by the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative that the contract for the 10 large-scale operation in Guyana be made public. He qualified his position by pointing to the Baishanling contract and the fact that it was with GRA is what allowed the tax authority to move against the Chinese logging company for unpaid taxes. And with that, I beg your pardon, we will return with your main newscast. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on the radio with a difference. We continue with your news. ESSO is seeking to construct a pipeline to transport gas from the Liza fields in the Stabroek block to the Wales development site on the west bank of Demerara. Importantly, the developer of this gas line, which will pass through communities such as Screen and Canal Polders, have not consulted with the villagers who will be directly impacted. This is according to a letter sent to the EPA, in which more than a dozen residents complained that they were not consulted. Only on Tuesday, a resident who lives in Crane said that she observed that the land's being cleared and suspected it was to facilitate the pipeline. She said she had no clue that the structure will be situated so close to her property. In the company's environmental impact assessment, ExxonMobil signaled that some landowners in Crane, Canal Number 1 and Canal Number 2 in Region 3 may not be allowed to grow crops or develop new structures that may interfere with pipeline to be laid. Meanwhile, ESSO disclosed on Wednesday that at the end of 2021, it recorded a $132 billion profit after working in the Stabroek block since 1999. The company noted yesterday that its revenue for the reporting period increased to $254 billion, reflecting higher production volumes and a stronger price environment versus 2020. Importantly, the company said this was the first profitable year it recorded since working in the basin. It is understood that overall expense in the Stabroek block were up in 2021 versus 2022, mostly due to the increased production costs and higher, both of which were driven by increased oil production. Get the full details in Kaieteur News. We tell you now that the taxi driver who was accused of raping a 14-year-old schoolgirl from Berbice was on Wednesday remanded to prison on the charge. Amir Insanali of Sand Reef Albion Quarantine Berbice appeared at the Reliance Magistrates Court before Magistrate Rabindranath Singh. He was not required to plead and was remanded to prison until July 13th, 2022. On Wednesday, the Ministry of Health announced that 2 more persons who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. The latest fatalities are that of two men, a 60-year-old from Region 6 and a 49-year-old from Region 4. Guyana's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 1,244. 120 new cases were recorded across the country, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 66,129. Out of the number of confirmed cases, 30,358 persons are men and 35,771 are women. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo has come out in defense of the government's decision to transfer a plot of prime land that was allocated for the construction of GRA's headquarters to Suriname's base company, Pasha Global, to build a hotel here. It was revealed that the land at Plantation, Lindal, East Coast, Demerara, allotted to GRA to build its permanent headquarters, had been taken back and given to the said Suriname-based company. According to the Vice President, GRA has not been left out of the government's land allocation plan. It is just more profitable for investors to have some prime lands. And finally, at this time, the attorney representing Kaieteur News' publisher Glenn Lal in the case filed against the government of Guyana over its decision to grant ExxonMobil and its affiliates extensive tax waiver is arguing strongly that the businessman and newspaper owner has the right to challenge the concession in the interest of the public. Attorney at law Mohammed R. Ali noted in his written submission to the High Court in response to the government's position on the case that Lal is a businessman and a taxpayer who commends these proceedings as a public-spirited citizen of Guyana. In its initial response to the case, the government said that the transaction falls in the realm of private law and does not affect Lal personally. Hence, his reason for this case he filed should not stand. And that's the news at the moment. I'm Joshua Van Sleckman. Thank you for joining us.